Podcasting time. Glenn Powers here from PowerWorks Automotive, which means for the next, hour, we're going to talk about cars. We're going to talk about the automotive industry. We're going to talk about your car. And along the way, we're going to sort pretty much every issue you've had in the last 7 days, whether that be with friends, whether that be at a restaurant, whether that be at a garage. Yeah, just general. We'll see.
There's loads to talk about. We just won't get around to any of it.
And it's great because we do have a list, and I've put some stuff on there.
You've undersold that. They're notes. I mean, it's almost a format.
We always have a format.
Yeah.
It's worse with Colin because we'll get started and then, it's like, let's talk about the shed. And actually that's the best one. Colin Thomas, We Will Fix It, the podcast. Go back and listen to any of those. And the shed features prominently in those conversations. Anytime you don't know where to go, you just bring up the shed.
The shed.
Because it's never done.
Never completed shed.
Oh, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm stinking. If you think it's just I'm English and I've been eating fish and chips all day, I'm covered in Colin's latest purchase of sour petrol.
Oh, no.
So, yeah.
Hey, this is an interesting one. So unless you have a lawnmower that takes petrol, some form of garden tool that takes petrol, maybe an ATV, people don't realize that petrol tank that you've got in the garden shed or in the garage or beside the house, it goes bad.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we were always taught I think it was 6 months at room temperature, and room temperature in the UK,
really?
I think is 21 degrees. I think
6 months.
6 months in a sealed container.
That's it? Oh, wow.
Before it can start to oxidize. But this is years, and it's the seal. Well, I'm covered in it. The rubber seal had melted.
Is this the seal with the gas cap or the seal?
The fuel pump. The fuel pump had failed, so we had to have the fuel tank out to change the pump. 5 people called in today. 4 of them called in saying they're not coming in, and one of them couldn't make it in because he had to go and present his passport for his wife's entrance permit or something. I can't remember. So,
did they know that this fuel pump in this vehicle with the seals going and bad smelling gas was on the game plan?
Everyone knew it was happening because I made them push it in last night before we left.
No, you got to push the car in as well.
Yeah, we had to push the van in. Yeah, we had to push it all in last night. I made them stay to help me because I can do a few things, but I can't push the van on my own. So we pushed it in last night, but it's a couple of hours to do the job, start to finish. But then the seal came, and it's the wrong seal, and now I'm covered in dirty, stinky petrol that smells like vinegar.
And you can't get that smell off. That's the worst thing.
No. It's terrible. And like I say, I've had to scrub the old remnants of the seal off of my fingers, which has now split all the ends of my fingers, so they're stinging as well. So,
I got to say, your hands are super clean because that petrol is just eating away at a layer of skin.
Palm, my calluses are really visible now. So it's you can't. It's just one of those jobs, isn't it? You just have it. I mean, Colin bought the vehicle from an auction. It had been sat in an auction parking area for probably a year at least, almost certainly longer. And there's problems with it, obviously. And fuel going off is a big deal. And like you've mentioned, lawnmowers and people that might have recreational dirt bikes or quads, and they keep jerry cans of fuel in their shed or their garage. 6 months, you can sometimes buy a fuel stabilizer.
Yeah. So is that a good thing to do? If I'm going away in the summer, should I be fuel stabilizing?
Why not?
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt if you're leaving your car parked for any length of time. I mean, it's certainly not 20 degrees in the summer, so any rate of decay will be accelerated. But it's a situation where if you are leaving your vehicle parked at any length of time, try to leave it parked with the minimum amount of fuel in as you can. So
really?
Then you can fill it up.
So I always think, maybe it's just me, but I'm always thinking, okay, I'm going to leave my car, fill up the tires, make sure I've got good tire pressure.
Overinflate the pressure.
Overinflate, and top up the fuel tank. At least have it fairly well.
Well, the problem is, obviously, you've just got more fuel to go off. But if you're
Right.
only parking for a month or two,
Then
you're
you're
very
okay.
low risk of that happening. Especially on a modern car, which is a sealed system. So I just...
But if you're going to leave it over in the Emirates parking lot in the auction, make sure you have as little fuel as possible.
Yeah, fuel stabilizer in there if you're going to store it for any length of time.
That should almost be something that they just do when a vehicle comes in. Throw some stabilizer in the fuel tank.
Yeah, benefit from it.
No, but the person who's getting it might. It's just a nice
Sold as seen.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. And sometimes they don't know how long these cars are going to take to clear. They get them in their parking before they can auction them. And if there's a bank dispute or if there's a police case or any sort of case, or they can't find the actual owner and they can't get the paperwork through. So they could be there for a week, it could be there for 2-3 years. So, yeah, this has been an interesting purchase, as always, with Collins vans, but it'll be running today, and then I'll send it over to the DIP garage to continue with the work there, because the delivery location is still Al Quoz from his many auction sites that he buys from. They just dump them at Al Quoz when they're bought. So we'll get it running and then send it over to DIP for doing the rest of the work.
You mentioned when you were talking about the fuel pump that the gasket, did it just disintegrate, turn into that mucky, sticky rubber?
So yeah, like the same as the seals on the windows and stuff go. Anyone that's lived here for any length of time in the UAE will have certainly encountered that. If anyone's been behind a Range Rover, so I'm not just picking on them, if you've been behind a Range Rover and sort of up to about 2012, they had the finishing strip across the back, brushed steel or something.
Yeah, beautiful.
And you see it looks like it's crying black tears down one side.
Yes.
That's exactly what happens to it, basically. And it just melts and it goes really, in English we'd say pappy, but then it goes beyond that and it's just sticky. It's really, really thick, like
and
treacle.
Is there any treatment for that or no?
No, it's too far gone
it's
at
done.
that point, yeah. I mean, this seal that we had with the pump wasn't the right seal, didn't fit. So, as long as the seal's okay, you could probably, there's a push, get away with using the old seal. But this is an example of why you don't, because it just falls apart if you try to remove it. We could barely scrape it. We had to scrape it off the tank to get it out. So you're never going to put that back together.
Yeah. We're going to come back to what's going on in the garage, because there's always a lot of fun going on there. Did you catch this write-up about Rivian automobiles? And it's now the second most valuable automotive company, I guess in the world, but definitely in the US. And they've like only delivered 156 cars.
Yeah, no, this sort of smacks like the .com boom.
Yeah.
And when does this go bust?
Wow.
Like, when you've got Elon Musk selling $7 billion worth of shares in Tesla, $7 billion of shares.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
In an upstart company, okay, they produce a lot of cars now.
600,000 vehicles. They've delivered more than 600,000.
But, are there $7 billion worth of shares in General Motors, who probably produce that many vehicles in a year?
Yeah. I just thought it's crazy. What I thought was interesting with Rivian, and they've got this electric, so they're an electric car company, if you haven't been following it. Electric car company, they've got a pickup truck that's pretty cool looking. But they really haven't delivered very many of them.
No.
Ford and Amazon are investors in the company. Ford owns 14% before the IPO. 14%. That's pretty smart.
It's a considerable.
Considering that they're worth more than Ford, General Motors, Rivian now is right up there. It's just under Tesla in value.
But again, how?
That's the way stock markets work, right?
The trucks. Yeah, I know. And this is the thing. This is why, like I say, the sort of .com boom where, everything was like, oh, wow, amazing. And then, oh, dear.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to flatten Silicon Valley because we've got a problem. Like, what do we do?
Well, the other thing is they lost money. They lost $994 million in the first half of the year. So they lost money. Initial public offering, an IPO, and now they're the second most valuable automotive company on the planet. What are you and I doing wrong?
No. This is the problem. It's all about the power of this, right? So cars now have become like
You're holding up your phone. So those who are listening, Glenn's holding up his phone.
Yeah.
He's holding up the
It's
technology.
all about, we've said before, cars have become like mobile phones. Every 6 months, you just buy one and then there's an update and there's a new one.
Yeah.
And they're fashion statements to a huge degree, and more so than they ever have been, I think. And I just don't see how it's sustainable. I can't, for the life of me, see how it's sustainable, because we've already talked about the baseline carbon emissions of production for an EV, and then there's the okay, you need to change your battery every 7 or 10 years, as we expect, maybe 15 if we're lucky. Okay, solid state batteries might help, but there's still raw materials involved there, and production costs and infrastructure, etc. So how is that sustainable? Now internal combustion isn't sustainable. There isn't no oil being made. We're just draining the planet and slowly draining it all the way, and it will die and disappear eventually. But this is crazy. Yeah. There are reasons behind it that I don't understand, I'm sure. And if anyone's an economist listening, they're probably thinking, what are you talking about? But I ain't an economist. I'm just saying, I'm just looking at it thinking, well, how?
We'll see.
How? There's the whole scandal with, so there was the Nikola.
Oh, yeah. That came and went. We don't hear about it anymore.
Yeah, the guy's in court and in multiple court cases for committing fraud, like with his figures and their output and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, oof. And then you've got people, like huge names in the industry for huge manufacturers like Carlos Ghosn with Nissan and everything that happened there with Nissan Renault and everything else. Like, it only takes that. And then what happens when Elon Musk lands on Mars and says, I ain't coming back?
Yeah.
He is the figurehead. And how many people buy those cars because of him?
Yeah.
If he disassociates himself with the company, I mean, he's selling all his houses and liquidating everything and doesn't believe in having material possessions and all this, which is easy to say when you're minted. But, fair play to him, whatever. But, if he does get on a SpaceX and disappear, do people buy... do people buy Teslas because they're Elon Musk? Do they buy Teslas because they like the look of them and what they represent? Sure. But is there, I would say, a big proportion of people believe in him?
Yeah. No, I think Elon Musk is the big driver of Tesla. And as long as he's at the helm of this and obviously bringing in those people, I think people keep buying him. I think once he bows out, they kind of go, the whole ship will keep running because it's got the engineers, it's got the scientists, it's got the investors, it's got the people thinking about it. But he's the ringmaster. Yeah. So
you see it in all walks of life, don't you? Everybody goes to watch the new movie with The Rock in it because it's The Rock. And he's got 300 million social media followers. So
could be the worst movie in the world.
Doesn't matter because The Rock's in it. So it's like the opening weekend will be huge.
It's like 007. You go to watch a James Bond movie because it's a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a great one or because they're not all the same. You watch a lousy James Bond movie, well, it was James Bond movie.
I mean, I just there are people that are more qualified, I would say, to have a better opinion on this than me, but I just think that a lot of people that buy those Teslas don't necessarily buy them because they're a great drive. They don't get in one and think, oh, this drives better than let's say the Golf I've just driven or the Q7 or whatever it may be, because they don't, do they? Let's be honest.
No, they want a Tesla. You just want to be able to say, what do you drive? I drive a Tesla.
Yeah. So this is it, and this is where, okay, that attitude means they're going to want to change every couple of years.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah.
It keeps driving prices up, but there's a huge. They're producing more cars on a daily basis than anybody at the minute. Everyone else is winding production down, and these guys are ramping up.
Go figure. They got a corner on the chip market. Clearly.
Yeah.
They're clearly. So how else do you make that happen?
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it goes. It worries me when anything goes this crazy, this quickly. Everyone's heard of Rivian, or a lot of people that are interested in the car game have heard of Rivian, but where this value comes from is frightening.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see.
I mean, you've got people over at Rimac. Rimac have bought Bugatti from VW Group.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to make some fantastic cars, but they are going to be special cars. They're not going to be making your Model 3s that are for everybody. But then again, Model 3, they're not for everybody either, actually. Someone actually mentioned the price of those things. We're talking like $40,000, aren't we?
Yeah.
Plus, you've got to wait for however long you've got to wait for.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. I wouldn't wait for a Model 3.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting was watching. So as we do, you take a look at the brown car guy. If you're not looking,
happy birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday to Shahzad. Yeah, so belated birthday greetings by the time this comes out. But
today's the 16th of November.
Yeah, so belated. And by the way, 3 cheers for Glenn. We have now surpassed the 90 episodes of PowerWorks.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are above 90.
Don't listen if you're operating heavy machinery or driving.
Brown Car Guy, if you're not watching him, hashtag Brown Car Guy across all the socials. That's Shahzad Sheikh. He is in the UK. Anything you want to know about cars, we've basically taught him. No.
No, he's doing some good stuff.
Man.
Very good stuff, actually.
And we were ahead of him on a couple of things, which is kind of good. And I'm pretty sure that he's listening to our stuff, and then he's...
Yeah, well...
Although, yeah.
We're ahead of the game, James. What can you say? You know, there's a lot of people out there that are called, disruptors, but we're pioneers.
Exactly. And Imtishan Ghiado, Motoring Middle East. So both of these guys, they were partners, and now Shahzad is back in the UK. Imtishan is still here doing his crazy stuff as well. But both of them have been talking about, and we've been talking about electric crate motors, and we've been just talking about electrifying older vehicles.
I saw that, yeah.
And Imtishan posted up a bit, and then Brown Car Guy, Shahzad, also posted up a bit about the Hyundai's gone back to the Grandeur, and they've got an electric version of that's coming out. And I was just looking at it going, you know what? Any day I would drive one of those.
Well, obviously, we didn't think of that first thing, did we? We thought 2CV, Mini Cooper, Beetle, camper van.
Yeah.
But exactly the point we were making is everybody would buy a classic car from the original manufacturer with an electric motor in it. 100%.
I'm thinking Honda, time to pull the plug and just or stick the plug in and go back to the original Civic. They've got the dies.
Or the Del Sol one.
Yeah, exactly. Start selling those things electric.
Yeah.
You just
100%.
And I just think it's hilarious that all these automotive manufacturers they must have warehouses full of the old dies.
Well,
to do the stamp.
Not only that, like cars looked better then. Without sounding like my old mentor.
Yeah.
And having kids shout things at me for being an old man, cars did look better. They all had a bit of difference about them.
Yeah.
And that in itself was good. A bit of variation. So definitely electrify old models.
I think it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And they're electrifying old models, but they're really new vehicles. They just have all the old look.
Yeah, but the other thing, obviously,
because they got to be up safety spec.
You can't fit 19 airbags in an old Mini Cooper. Well, you can, but you can't get in it.
But they have to. I mean, or they don't have to. But now there's such safety demands. You're not just going to the scrapyard and saying, "Okay, I'll take 5 of those over there." And this is the challenge: is now you've got these old vehicles that are being made new, getting rid of the petrol engines, putting in the electric stuff, and updating all the safety on it.
Yeah,
so that's worrisome. And that's probably why the old Civic, for Gen 1 or Gen 2, ain't going to happen, which really did look a lot like a Mini Cooper.
Yeah, really small. And
I think it had the same wheels.
I mean, probably stolen.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is with...
Oh, no, we don't know that, so...
So I've heard. I was told.
They're very similar. They haven't stolen. They were inspired. They were inspired by.
Yeah, exactly. But there's the problem is we could start British Leyland all over again, just doing electric motors in old classics.
Oh yeah. Why not?
Well, there's lots of reasons actually. unions won't have it, and then everyone will be on strike again, and then before you know it, it's
Aren't they still on strike? I mean, they
3-day
went out of
weeks.
business and they're still on strike, right?
3-day week again, and power out and everything else. But no, I think there's we were saying just again, there's a lot of good stuff on Brown Car Guys content, but I did notice that, and the cost of doing it yourself is huge.
Yeah.
And I think surely it's got to be cheaper for a manufacturer to do it.
I think at the end of the day, because they can just put it all together, they can bundle it in, they can make more. They have the systems to create the product on the platform as opposed to retrofitting. As soon as you got to pull everything out and find the space, they're on the line.
Yeah.
They got the tools. They know the vehicle. Boom. I mean, it just makes, even if you just do some bespoke and you've got a little line running on the side, it's going to cost you a premium, but it's going to come off the line. There's going to be no rattles and everything's going to fit right and it's going to be cool. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm keeping my eyes out for a Mark II Golf. It doesn't necessarily have to be a GTI, but I'd prefer it to be because the interiors were better. But I had one and did a lot to it and I enjoyed having it, and then I sold it.
Oh.
But now they're selling the same exact one I had without being messed around with. They're selling for £10,000.
That's a bit of change.
And that's not even like, concourse level, which, God, I don't know what they go for. But, in a few years' time, that means they'll probably be 20k.
Yeah.
And then surely they can make one of those for me in Wolfsburg. I'd pay 40 if I had it, So there are people that would buy it, and, it might have to be a massive shift to get them to do it. And we're obviously talking a little bit of pie in the sky and just dreaming.
It's nostalgia cars. And I think there's so many people like yourself, like myself, who that first vehicle that you've driven, you would pay the money to have another one of those.
Yeah, but you know what? This is the other side of it. Being in
you wouldn't pay the money.
The workshops and seeing John Ellis, right? He's got 2 Jaguars,
Yeah, because you got to own 2.
They're only 20 years old, so they're not really proper classics. They're XKs.
Yeah, but they're Jags, so
a
20-year-old Jag is like a 50-year-old Jag.
Well, 20 days old. He has spent thousands keeping them on the road. Thousands.
Yeah.
And so for me, I wouldn't, even if I liked one, which I don't, by the way, but even if I did, I wouldn't buy one. Because I'm like, well, all right, I've got to buy it. And then these things are going for like 30,000 euros in Germany.
Really?
So you've got that.
Is this the one, are his models the one that look like an old Ford Taurus, or
it's
the ones before that?
It's the sport car, the XK.
Oh, okay.
So it's the last one that kind of kept true to the E-Type sort of lines.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So they're 30,000 euros in Germany for a decent one. But you're going to spend that every 2 years. Whereas
you got to love that
Jaguar, so they'd say after 2 or 3 years, you're 90,000 euros into it. Well, surely Jaguar can make me one with an electric motor in it for 90k. I don't even need it to be fast. The V8s weren't fast.
Yeah.
I don't need it to be up there with a Tesla Model S Plaid. I just want it to look like an XK and not cost me $1 million dirhams every week and be off the road all the time, Yeah. So we'll see. But it was a fun post from Shazad. I did think straight. I think I commented on it saying, well, obviously, of course we want manufacturers to make the classics. Who doesn't want an electric Beetle? But there are people that think it's sacrilegious. But those people own one, and it will put their values up.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Another interesting one yesterday. Driving down Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Road, as you do.
Always interesting.
And side note, we haven't even got into the main topic. I'm already side noting. Traffic this morning was brutal.
Yeah.
And I was almost going to text you. Hope the traffic's not brutal for you, because it's brutal for me.
That's like saying I hope it's not dark at night.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I slightly modified the time just getting over here to the Rove Hotel, and I didn't have to go far. And all I kept thinking is, I know that the Digital Nexa guys have got a nice setup and they've got a nice podcast studio going. It's going to take me an hour to get there. And I'm just going, I don't know if I'm willing to invest the hour to get there.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I think you'd have to do Sheikh Zayed
I guess.
from Maidan Street and then go that way. You'll be all right
Yeah,
that way.
okay.
There's no traffic
All
that
right,
side.
all right.
But it's still another 15 minutes.
Yeah. So, well, then we won't knock that one out of the park yet. We'll wait. We'll hold out. Next week we'll go check it out.
Yeah.
But this traffic was just killing me. It was just, and crazy drivers too. I mean, the usual drivers, but then a few people who are just weaving in and out and waiting for an accident to happen. The nice thing driving without the windows on the Jeep is you hear a lot of people who've got car problems that they don't hear because they got the windows up. It was like some bus yesterday. It was a shearing sound, and I actually slowed down because I thought, I thought maybe it's brakes, and then I went, no, that's not the shearing of a brake. You know, that little piece of metal that tells you got to change your brakes, brake pads. Yeah, no, this was like something in the rear differential, as if there was no fluid in it.
Nice.
And it was a really shearing. Oh, it was horrible sounding.
I've worked in the RTA bus workshop, and doing some Internet of Things stuff for a company here.
Nice.
And it's an amazing workshop. Really, really cool workshop. Obviously, everything's the same as what we've got, but it's 900 times bigger.
Yeah.
Some of the things they were doing on their buses in there, you know, a lot of them were accident damage.
Right.
But like gearboxes out that has filled this room, and it's just huge work. And you know, those things have a very, very hard life.
Yeah.
Literally 12 hours a day running.
And they're doing start stop, so they're hot. It's
suspension down to let people on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a real hard life. Real hard life. And anybody that says, you know, internal combustion, say what you like about it, obviously it's ridiculous and it's not been great for the environment and, you know, hindsight 2020 and all that.
Yeah.
But when you get to heavy duty vehicles, trucks for haulage and buses, like the reliability, especially the diesel stuff, is amazing. You know, these things are fantastic. You know, they have a real hard life. But though, if you think about the work I mean, just a differential, what it's doing on a bus, that's a huge thing to go around the corner, and it's a massive amount of weight to get going from a bus stop, standing start, and then all the stopping, and accelerating, and they're in the traffic just like us. There's no bus lanes here.
Yeah.
You know, in the UK, we have bus lanes in most major cities, and some towns as well. No, they just have to fight through, and yeah, those things. When there's a problem in the diff, there you are going to hear it, definitely. But I'm sure they'll fix it over there. Those guys know what they're doing, and like most workshops, because they see the same stuff day in day out, I'm sure they've already.
Yeah.
They could probably diagnose it as it drives through the doors, and the driver probably knows because it's probably not the first time they've heard it either.
Yeah. Two things getting back to the story before we get back to where I actually wanted to go, I passed by a billboard sitting in traffic advertising the Kia K8 today.
Okay.
And sweet looking vehicle. First thing I noticed is Kia's changed the car logo.
Don't like it.
Yeah.
It looks like it says KN, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It really does look like a KN.
Doesn't look like it.
The K8 though, what a interesting looking vehicle.
I'm just looking it up now because I can't think I've seen it.
And I go down this road all the time, and you notice, you know, the billboard had changed, and I only caught it at the very end because I caught the grill, and all I kept saying is, man, Kia's really gone a long way.
Yeah, it looks like is it like the replacement for the Cadenza or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Like.
Yeah, I think so.
Very Hyundai. Not that that's like saying a VW looks like an Audi. I know, but it does look like the Hyundai, doesn't it? But that's nice.
Yeah. 12.3-inch curved display inside. Class-leading length and wheelbase, whatever that means.
12.3 inches in class-leading length is what they've led in with.
Yeah.
Who are they selling this to?
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. That's the spec sheet.
That's it.
12.3-inch curve.
The one that worries me though, and they've got a nice little website that goes through all the stuff, and it's going through, you know, some of the things that they're trying to push. But the bumper integrated radiator grille, I saw that and I just went, oh no, cool, but I don't want to have the bumper and the radiator grille in the same place for when it. But there's also all sorts of LEDs inside of it, which are really cool. So you know where you in some vehicles where you've got your you pull an Andrew Thomas and you put your shag carpet up on your dash. It's got kind of a shag carpet. It doesn't have a shag carpety thing, but they've got some kind of cushiony thing on the dash, and they got LEDs coming out of it as well. It's kind of like a party zone.
Well,
So on one hand, it's kind of cool. And look, I like Kias and I like Hyundai stuff. So on one hand, they're really pushing. Hey, we got some really cool technology. And then the next one, we also got some kitsch here for you that you're really gonna love because if you want to do karaoke, we got you sorted.
yeah, it's basically the Rolls-Royce roof just draped over the dash on the bottom of the screen. I can see it here on KiaUAE.com.
Yeah,
and it's telling me about a grill.
Yeah,
I mean, all I'm saying with that is when you've now got a bumper to replace for a grill break-in.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's it. You're gonna how much is that gonna cost you?
With moving light patterns inspired by diamonds. Well, then okay, then. So that is easily a 5,000 dirham bumper right there.
Yeah.
£1,000 for a bumper. Excellent.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. We got to go try one of these. I know we keep saying this all the time, but we really need to go get one of these to drive.
Yeah.
3-zone climate control. I think that's what driver, passenger, backseat. Everyone's got that. Okay, that's cool. Well, not my vehicle, but yeah.
I'm not sure about. Is that a fully glass roof as well? That's very market relevant then.
There's a piece of the video where it's coming down. So yeah, it looks like there's a big glass roof with a something inside.
It'll drive nice. The tech will work. The AC will be great. It'll be reliable.
Yeah.
I
love Kias because they're affordable to repair and affordable to service.
Yeah, but you know what? I've noticed recently, Kia and Hyundai, and fair play to them, it's probably well overdue. Starting to get a bit pricey, aren't they? Starting to believe their own hype, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
But we got a customer in the other day who wanted to buy a new car and he'd settled on a Pajero.
Are they giving discount getting rid of these things prices now? Because they're not.
No, I think he said they didn't have many of them left.
Because there can't be. They're not making them anymore, are they?
No. He was at 100K on this one for brand new.
Wow.
Sort of mid-range thing. But
that's expensive.
He was like, it's 15 minutes for the infotainment to load, and it's like, so what do you want me to do, mate? It's 15 minutes to get to 60 as well. But
yeah, and that car in 2 years' time is going to have a really smelly exhaust. So just so you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'd actually said to him, Kia and Hyundai.
Yeah.
If you're in that sort of ballpark figure, that's the place to go to, because you'll get the German refinement. And to be fair, the American stuff is, especially the GMC and the Cadillac stuff.
Yeah.
But he said he was priced out. They were too expensive for the size that he needed. So went for the Pajero and he's happy with it. It's a big lump of a thing and it's perceptibly safe at least.
Yeah. I found it very interesting, the K8, from looking at the back bumper, the back lights. If you go in there, and those at home who are listening, now you're going to have to go Google K8. Yeah. Reminded me of an Audi.
Yeah, well,
and
it's actually quite.
I know. I really thought when I'm looking at the back, I'm going, it's got that weird logo that they've changed, and I get why they've done that, because the old Kia badge was a hard badge to sell.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is any better, but it really reminded me, and I don't know if that's. I've seen that Audi. That's the A6 maybe.
It's because the VW Group stuff has gone back to the old classic Porsche and Audi days of tail light across the whole back bumper.
So maybe it's just the tail light, but it's kind of that swooping back that looks like you open up the whole thing. You got like a hatch.
Yeah. It looks kind of samey in terms of all cars these days, but it'll be a nice car. There's no doubt. I mean, I don't know why we need a diamond effect grille, but
it's differentiation, right?
And we definitely don't need a full glass roof in this market.
No.
But there's, that's me just being picky about it. That's how I am. But we know it'll be reliable and it'll be cool. Yeah. Everything will work on it.
Go take a look at the K8. It's kind of cool. But where this whole conversation was going, it's only been like 12 minutes since we started, and we talked about congestion on the roads. We talked about a car that didn't intend to talk about. I was sitting behind a BMW 730.
Okay.
And I was looking at the 730, and
Did it get put in the back of a truck?
No, but I was looking at it. I was just kind of going, what is it that I don't like about it? And I'm just looking at the vehicle, and so I'm not in it, and I know it's fast, and I know it's comfortable, and I know it's so full of tech that it would make Elon Musk, salivate. I know all that, but it just looked like a box.
Yeah.
It kind of let me down. I'm looking at it. I'm just going, I get it, and I had to look quite long because the guy did cut me off and then sit in front of me, and I was just looking at it, going, why would I not? Why don't I want one of those? Mm. And then, fortuitously, right up beside us was a Hyundai Genesis, and I'm looking at them. And I'm going, a lot of similarity, but I'll take the Genesis.
The Genesis isn't a bad car, is it? The big one.
No.
Yeah. See, the problem with the BMW 730, not the 730, particularly the 7 Series, we get the 30, the 40, and the 45, and the 50, and the 60 with the 12 in it as well. But the 7 Series in itself, of the previous generation at least, they were just so ungainly.
Yeah. The
back end was unnecessarily big, and they're trouble. They are trouble. They're expensive to repair. I mean, from a purely car perspective in its segment, I mean, I would personally put it up against, I would say it's against an S-Class and it's against an A8. Both of those cars are way better than it.
Really?
The interiors are better, they look better, they
Really?
drive better. But I don't like the 7 Series, and I don't like a lot of the saloon BMWs, especially that big 7 Series it's just ungainly. The wheels seem too small for the body.
Maybe that was part of it as well. I mean, it's weird because if you love BMWs, and I know there's a whole bunch of BMW, aficionados, you're going to buy a BMW. You don't care. It's kind of
we've just said the same. We were saying about Teslas. Buying a Tesla,
and you love the badge, and you've aspired to own a Beamer, and
BMW probably one of the earliest brands to do that, really. Yeah. So people.
And they haven't changed their brand, their badging.
No, not for a while.
No, Kia has.
No choice.
Yeah. So, and that was actually a funny one because I keep looking back home because I'm thinking, someday I'm going to go home and I'm thinking, what would I like to drive? And of course, we know that I'm going to get a Wrangler, but I do look at other things, and I keep thinking a Stinger would be nice.
Yeah, it would be.
And I saw one the other day. Kind of had a little flare package on it. I'm driving by it, and I'm just kind of going, it looked understated.
Yeah.
But when you get inside that it's like driving around in a Mercedes or a BMW, and you know that it's fast because it's got that twin turbo engine in it.
Yeah.
And I don't ever see anyone talking about those in North America. And I got to do some research because maybe they just don't sell them there. I don't know. It would be weird that they don't. But I never see anyone sort of motioning towards, I want to get a Kia Stinger.
Yeah, but the problem is, you see, in America, in particular, they're sort of, it's probably because it's better than the Mustang and the Camaro.
Yeah.
And everyone, and the Challenger and the Charger, and everyone's sort of used to those things and loyal to them, shall we say.
Yeah. Well, and that's what the brown car guy and Imtishan said. They said, beautiful car. You get into it. This is an amazing car. But it's got the Kia badge. Hence, they've changed the way the Kia...
I literally had that conversation with a friend of mine who was looking to buy a car, and I recommended he wanted a Golf R, but because of the four-wheel drive, it was a little bit tight in the back for a baby seat. So I recommended the Kia Stinger to him, and he went to see it, and his question was, can we remove the badge and fill the gap without it being a problem for warranty if I bought this thing? And this was a guy with cash in, like he could have bought it cash in his pocket there and then.
But he wasn't going to drive a Kia.
No, and he wouldn't have a Jaguar because he didn't want to have a Jag badge.
There you go.
So, it does work both ways.
So what did he get? What did he get in the end?
He left.
Okay, he left. So I can't deal with this. I'm getting out of here.
No, he left the country in the end. But no, it was that exact conversation as far as the badge. which to me is silly. But then I've never been in a position to have the money to buy a car, like, you know, and therefore not necessarily operated in those kind of circles where it might be a problem.
Just on a side note, if Imtishan Giotto ever says he's going to give you a drive somewhere, take your own car.
Okay. There we go.
I only say that because,
Make a note of that.
yeah, just note that down. Imtishan, great guy, exquisite ability behind the wheel of a vehicle, but I've never been so scared in my life driving with that guy because let's see what this car can do. So this is not the time to be experimenting with a car. It's dark. Yeah, I know it can do it. It's like, hold on. As soon as he says hold on and hands you a helmet, then you know, oh no. And a bag. Here, you might need this as well. It's like, oh no.
I'll remember that.
And then we'll know if he's listening to the show.
Yeah, so we just get on here and abuse people to see if they're listening.
Yeah. And
try and get them to react.
And then others send, did you hear what they did with you on the podcast? Yeah, it's like, oh man. Hey, what's going on in the shop, by the way?
Just loads of stuff. Like I say, people not turning in today has been great. Really, really great.
I mean, this is a big problem. It's not just your industry, it's the service industry in general and the repair industry. I'm talking to folks who've all got the same issue. Either they can't find enough technicians, they can't find enough technicians who are reliable, or they've got issues with their technicians who are actively looking to find other places because they think the grass is greener on the other side. And there's just not enough people to fix our stuff.
Yeah, the problem is you can't overstaff yourself, and then
no,
you know, for days like this, and this isn't a regular occurrence that people don't turn in. It's just one of the challenges that you have, and you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're open and honest to customers and explain that, you know, we've had this issue and we might be a few hours or a day or so later than we said with finishing your work, nobody's going to be happy. But
honesty is the key.
There's not much we can do about it.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, we've been having fun and games with the GTI lately. We've got a manual GTI in, which is great.
Wow, that's nice.
Mark 6. Yeah,
that's
needs a clutch.
That's a rarity.
Yeah, real rare. I've never seen one here.
Who's fixing the clutches here? You doing that in house, or you
Yeah, we'll do the clutch on it. Yeah, we'll get a Borg and Beck clutch for it. But the
better than stock, getting the Borg and Beck?
Available.
Okay.
And as good. So we're not going to wait 15 days for
I was leading that in because a lot of the Borg and Beck stuff is actually better than the original parts.
I mean,
which is a weird one.
This is probably actually from the same factory. I would guess it's,
it looks the same.
So, you know, I can't. Pete could answer that question for us quite easily.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, this is the first one I've seen. So VW here need to order it, and it's 15 days.
Wow.
Minimum, and it's 4 times the price of the Borg and Beck one.
There we go, no brainer.
So
that'll be fun test driving. Going to be test driving that to Fujairah and back?
No, you don't need long drives with that. You just need to go around the track with it. Somewhere twisting, plenty of turns. You need to be using the
track night.
Yeah, you need to be using the clutch pedal and shifting the gears on it. And that's where the fun is. But no, we've been having fun with a Mark 7, which had a DSG in it. It had been sat for 8 months. It had been sat for 8 months. And the lady was increasingly longer periods out of the country for work. So she decided to sell the car. The guy wanted us to check it before he bought it. We did. It was okay. And then obviously he's had a shakedown over the first few days of him owning it, and there's been little leaks here and there, which happens.
Yeah.
But then we had the issue of we literally fixed an oil leak on it and then it wouldn't start.
What?
Just wouldn't start. And what had happened is the crank pulley on the timing chain, so the sprocket slipped around on the crank, and the keyway for the pulley had broken, so it just went out, engine went out of time, and that was the end of that.
Wow.
So
how often does that happen?
I've seen it a few times.
It's pretty rare though.
But maybe 5-6 times. Maybe.
Is that just, do you think, just from sitting? Or?
Yeah, just lack of lubrication.
Okay, there we go.
So this is always the problem with cars that aren't driven. Once they are then driven, you know, there's going to be oil leaks for a start because the seals have dried out. There will be oil leaks and likely to be coolant leaks. AC not going to necessarily work so well. So this is why, you know, if you find a 4 or 5 year old car with 10,000 kilometers on it and a 4 or 5 year old car with 60 or 70,000 kilometers on it, the one to go for is high mileage.
Yeah.
as long as it's been serviced. The low mileage one, it's going to be trouble for you for a while. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean huge repairs, but it's just inconvenience of having it in for little things here and there. So
that's that message. If you're, for whatever period of time, if you're not driving your car, get someone starting it, get someone moving it. And I don't just mean back and forth. Get them out there for a good 15, 20 minutes. Get the thing warmed up, get the tires warmed up, and then park it and do it again next week.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I mean, we've said it before on here, haven't we? But
over and over. We're a broken record.
Yeah, but we get problems with it. We had a Range Rover in. A Range Rover, pretty much of a similar story. It was inspected before the guy purchased it, and then you got mail, and then
where'd that come from?
And then when he had eventually got the car, after a week or so, it wouldn't start, and it was like the starter motor had failed, and the head gasket had failed on it, and it was filling the cylinder with water, one of the cylinders with water, and then that was hydraulic in, so it couldn't turn the engine over. So that's worst case scenario, really, and it could have been worse if it had damaged the valves, which it doesn't seem to have. But these things happen, and that again was a car that hadn't been used and had been used infrequently and for short journeys, which is terrible. 5 or 10 minutes once a week is worse than nothing, and certainly worse than getting a good 30 or 40 minutes every week. So it can be problematic at the best of times, but in a climate like ours, with the demands of the traffic and everything else here, speed bumps and all that. So yeah, it's definitely worth taking the time to understand that if you are buying a car that hasn't been driven for a long time or hasn't been particularly driven much at all, you're going to find, if you do start driving it, that you're going to have problems with it.
So it's, again, great advice. Keep your eye on the prize and save yourself the misery.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Try to remember that just because you've always wanted one, it might not be the best one to go for.
Yeah.
We've got a time bomb. We've got a ticking time bomb with a customer. She's
really
nice customer, and she's been coming to us with a.
Is her name Nargis? Because that's also we will fix it. It's got Nargis, number 6. She's number 6.
No.
Do you have your customers numbered, like the first 10 that ever brought stuff in?
No, we don't. No, okay. We don't. But we could see who it was. We've got the record, but we don't have names for them. Well, not that we can say on here.
Yeah.
So yeah, she'd been bringing her EcoSport in for a while, and her husband's been bringing his Mustang in for a while. And
why is the husband driving the Mustang and she's driving the EcoSport?
Just the way it is.
It doesn't seem very equitable at all.
No, and to be fair, the EcoSport's been really reliable and really good to her. So she had her heart set on a Evoque, Range Rover Evoque. Okay, fair enough. Again, eyes have made that decision. But
eyes have made the decision.
We inspected one.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit sounded too good to be true, and the price was top dollar for what they go for.
Yeah.
And there was plenty of problems with it. Huge problems with them. So talked her out of that one and said, look, this is what our report says, and I wouldn't recommend buying it unless you're going to get it for 10 grand less than what the guy's asking for.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, great. But she'd already sold her car.
Oh dear. So now
hoping that this was going to be okay. She's got a daughter, and what do you do? So she then went and found one, sent me all the details of it. I said, please walk away from that car.
But she bought it anyway?
Oops. I've already agreed to the sale.
Oh no.
So it came from a place that they'd done an inspection with another garage, not with us. On that inspection it said transmission jerky and the judder on acceleration from transmission.
Yeah.
So I just said, look, that's 10 to 15k waiting there. Oh dear. Yeah, so there's an issue for us down the line. But this is the thing when you like a car for how it looks.
Yeah.
And there's a certain bit of necessity about the purchase, right? That you haven't got a car. What do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. It's always a troubling time when somebody just buys something and then with a new purchase straight away with a problem.
Glenn, you know what? I think this is a great point where we say we're going to do this again next time, and we're going to kick off with a little tour around the shop and what's going on and what's not going on, and great advice today, as always. Glenn Power, PowerWorks Automotive. I'm James Pikeway. Go check out the podcast. Over 90 episodes of this exquisitely informative, educational, and somewhat entertaining conversation. And we only diss the brown car guy once in a while, and Deshaun Moore. I'm actually